Jackson restaurateurs and ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you for being here. We're here today to talk about the ongoing water crisis here in Jackson and the impact that it's had on restaurants. Now, restaurants nationwide and across the state of Mississippi have been dealing with several challenges, a lot of them stemming from the lingering effects of COVID and inflation. And so we've seen labor shortages, increase in labor cost, also skyrocketing food cost, as well as a shortage of product. And so all of that is reflected in a loss of profit. It's the bottom line. And so nationwide, the National Restaurant Association has indicated at the beginning of July that profit margins have decreased by almost 75%. Now, they've recently sent out a survey for economic impact studies. We should get that data back in the next couple of weeks to give us a better indication of the effect. But here in Jackson, there's one more challenge that's being faced, and that's with the water crisis. It's been ongoing for years. Sometimes it's interruption of service where there is no water flowing. But with the case of our current boil water notice, the water is not fit for consumption. So what does that mean for restaurants? Water is an integral part of restaurant operations. We need water to prepare food and drink items. We need water to wash our hands. We need water to make ice, beverages, washwares, and utensils. It's an integral part. And when we don't have water that can be consumed, restaurants, which you will shortly hear, are forced to change their business operations. They have to go and purchase ice. They have to purchase water to wash hands, washwares, and utensils, make food and drink products. All of that's at a cost. And you'll hear from some of our restaurant operators. Some are expending $500 to $700 a day. Now, our industry is one of very narrow profit margins, and I just mentioned that all the other pressures that they're facing have diminished profit margins. This is eating into profits equally as much. And many of our small independent restaurants do not have the financial resources to withstand the continued financial pressures for an extended period of time. And so unfortunately, they're doing all they can to keep their doors open. The idea of this providing for their livelihoods and their families is greatly diminished. So now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Jeff Goode.
Thank you, Pat. And Pat is the Executive Director for the Mississippi Hospitality and Restaurant Association. We're always thankful to have Pat in leadership to help bring us together. I'm going to speak for some notes here. I'm just going to comment that from a week ago, a very late night, Friday night, frustrated Facebook post from a very, very depressed and despondent restaurant owner, which was me, to today. From that post a week ago to today, we have 46 restaurants that have bound together to present a letter. A letter which firmly and resolutely asks that whatever roadblocks have been keeping our city from addressing the water crisis that's been building for years, we ask that these roadblocks be obliterated, and that the city and the county and the state push forward rapidly and decisively to address the issues, correct the failures, and operate a system that can confidently supply potable water for those businesses and the citizens of, and the workers and the visitors to, our city of Jackson, for now and in the future. We feel that we have no more time to wait. 46 restaurant owners and a host of our vendor partners have signed this letter to the city, county, and state. And we all agree that this crisis has been building to a crescendo, and we have reached the breaking point. So I'd like to ask Andy Nessison and Pierre Pryor of the Iron Horse Grill, and then David Kahn of Char and Saltine, and then Stephen O'Neill of Manship and Applos Jackson to share what it means to the average restaurateur and the average restaurant to deal with this crisis. Andy, Chef?
Water is an integral part of the restaurant operations. It is required to provide or prepare food, drink items such as ice, operate bathrooms, wash hands, pots, plates, and utensils. when the water supply is interrupted or it is not consumable, restaurants have to make drastic changes in the normal operation methods. We are required to obtain ice from vendors that have access to approved water supplies. Some of our restaurants in the Jackson Metro today are having to get that ice as far away as Meridian. Chef?
All right, good evening. We all know water has to be boiled, okay? It has to be boiled. You got to pressure the water in order to prepare our food, for drinks. Wash your hands, as Andy already said, and wash your utensils with. Canned solid drink has to be purchased because we can't utilize our fountain machines here. That's an issue with us already. We have to find a place to buy these things, a place to store these things in our building. And carrying this stuff, you see we got 2 flights of stairs here. I have guests, employees who are angry about this stuff. I know it's gonna happen. Also, staff members, because they know how hard it's gonna work to get a boil of water, that's right, they're already upset about it. This on top of everything else, guys, that's what we do to successfully take care of our guests when they're in our building.
All of this comes at a tremendous cost to our restaurant owners. Many have spent as much as $500 to $700 a day. As we speak right now, Clark Beverage is dropping off an order for $725. Canned Sprites, Cokes, Diet Cokes. That's not including water. That's not including ice, extra trash pickups that we have to incur each and every day. Who pays for that? We do. It doesn't come from the city. It doesn't get reimbursed from Public Works, insurance. As restaurant operators, we incur those costs every day that the city is under this notice, this boil water notice. Simply put, we're tapped out. We're running out of resources in order to continue down this avenue each and every day. Steve? Yes, Andy Nesselson, General Manager with the Iron Horse Grill.
I'm David Kahn, one of the partners in Four Top Hospitality, and my operating partner, Lawrence Rafael's behind me. Another very stressing part of this, each time we have a boil water alert, our cover counts and our sales immediately go down. We are fortunate to have 2 other restaurants, one in Flowood and one in Ridgeland, Mississippi, and sales immediately go up. We are running 20% above sales over last year this same time at Amerigo Flowood, Amerigo Ridgeland. We are down 20 plus at Char Restaurant in Highland Village and Saltine and Fondren. Many of the customers that come in are wondering if we're going to make them sick with the water and how we cooked it and where'd we get our ice from. I was asked that today several times in Char during lunch. It's just guests are concerned. The loss of sales, the extra cost of ice, water, drinks, portable toilets, the increase in food and increase in labor. We can't make money. It's hard. It's hard for all of us. It's very, very alarming. Pat talked about all these overwhelming challenges, supply chain issues, labor issues. But what we're running into each time we get this boil water alert, the employees, the mental stress on the employees, now they're talking about getting out of Jackson to go work somewhere else. So we're having to deal with that aspect of it also. So thank you for listening to us, and we hope that the city leaders, state leaders can come together, put aside their partisan differences, and find a solution. Great leadership is action, not words. We want action. The citizens of Jackson and all the businesses in Jackson, we want action. Thank you.
Stephen O'Neill with the Manship Wood Fired Kitchen and Aplos Jackson in Highland Village. It's a sad fact that our city's failure is becoming a rallying cry for the developers in suburban communities surrounding ours. To my fellow restaurant owners, raise your hand if you have been contacted by someone asking to consider your moving your restaurant out of Jackson. Very few of us own the property in which we operate. Rather, we lease from our landlords. As our leases expire and it's time to renegotiate for the future, many of us have hard decisions to make. Because the reality is, we're not just signing another 5-year lease. We're signing another 5 years of water crises. We're signing another 5 years of inoperable businesses due to basic services that we should be receiving. It'd be a shame to see any of us close and move, but the economics can be very appealing. There's a saying, it's only business. And each and every one of us here do what we do because we care deeply and we care for our city. But business is business. And to stay in business, difficult decisions must be made. To put a good point on this, my friend Gino Lee with the Big Apple Inn was unable to join us today, so he asked me to say a few words for him. He's one of the oldest dining institutions in Jackson with the Big Apple. Just down the street here from Farish, wanted me to share this with everyone. These constant boil water notices have truly been a thorn in my side. Not only do we have to deal with rising food costs, forcing us to have to raise our prices, now we have to deal with the lack of a public utility. Subsequently, customers get mad because of the rise in prices, which we simply have to bear. Now we can't give adequate drinking water. We're having to buy 5-gallon water jugs just so we can wash our hands. Not only boiling water before we cook or just to do the dishes, these costs we cannot pass on to our customers. That is just something we as restaurateurs have to eat. It is already hard enough in this economy to stay afloat, but do not have a public utility that we pay for is absolutely unacceptable. We love our city. We have been in this business here for 83 years, but it's getting so hard to operate a business here. Gino Lee, the Big Apple Inn.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, David. Thank you, Chef Pierre. Thank you, Andy. And thank you, Gino, remotely. I'm going to wrap it up with this. What can we do to stop the insanity and stabilize our system? What can be done to prevent this most basic service, clean water, with which, what can we do to provide this most basic service, clean water with which to run our businesses and to have in our homes? Government is what we agree to do together. It's the basic cornerstone of democracy, to work together to solve problems. Why are we unable to find a resolution for this disastrous community health problem? Other cities throughout our nation have found paths through like challenges. Some cities have had to suffer death from dysentery or cholera before action was taken. I really hope that our city and our state and our county, it won't take something like that to have us move forward. We are the governed, and we're asking those who govern us to fix this. If the problem is a money issue, why cannot funds be found? If it's a competency issue, why can't the capable minds and hands be hired for the work? If it's a political logjam, what's the path to break through it? This press conference serves as our very pointed attempt to focus attention on this crisis and engage with our city, our county, and our state leadership with the intent of applying pressure to get action, like David talked about. We are in common agreement that this is just our first step. We're going to stay in this arena and we're going to push for action for all that live, work, or visit Jackson so we can all have a safe and dependable drinking water system 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of each year. Working together works, but it's obvious that the city, the county, and the state are not working together in a positive and proactive way to solve this serious, serious problem. The bottom line is that we are all suffering, and we have been suffering silently for a long, long time. Collectively, we're exhausted, and we are banding together to force action. We are begging that the powers that be, whether political, personal, or process-driven, hit the reset button, come together and solve our state capital's most serious crisis, our inability to provide safe, potable water to the citizens, visitors, and businesses within the footprint of Jackson. And we thank each and every one of you for being here. Perhaps our fellow restaurateurs just might like to identify themselves by stating their names and their businesses as I step off.
Christina Lazzari with La Brioche Patisserie.
Theo Carey, Corbin's 2, Bailey Avenue.
Ginger Watkins, Hickory Pit, Canton Mart Square.
Ann Ulmer with Eagle Bagel Cafe in John Boy Village in Jackson.
Pat Nolan, CS's.
Arden Barnett, Dueling Hall, and Arden Land.
Lawrence Ravel's Char Restaurant, Saltine Restaurant.
Well, that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much. Please feel free to ask questions of each individual restaurateur. Thank you.
And everyone should have a handout of the letter,
Yes,
right?
right.
If you haven't received a
If you
handout.
hadn't received a copy of it, Aaron will gladly give you one.